Alright, what's going on folks? Stormwolf here, and today I'm going to be doing a video response to a video from Yaboyroshi. I believe this is from his first of many series on his Couch Talk. This is going to be talking about the current state of DLC. I'm just going to be giving my overall thoughts about it and maybe touching on a few topics that they talked about and giving my response to that. If you haven't seen that video, I definitely advise you go check that out. There will be a link in the description down below, as well as a pinned comment somewhere around here on the screen. So definitely go watch that video first before you come check out this one, as it will make this video make a lot more sense. So someone that's around the same age group as Dayasha actually turned 30 this summer. I understand where he's coming from. I understand where we used to buy a game and that was the game. Back when EB games was a thing, you go into the store, you pick up that game, you take it home. You went home knowing that what you got on that disc or cartridge was the game that was intended. That was the game you sat down and played. You started from start to finish. You maybe play it 1 or 2 more times, but you got the full experience in that game, right? I mean, clearly that's not the case anymore, unfortunately, with DLC. DLC for a lot of developers is just an excuse to either take away content that was developed alongside of the game, or to release unfinished games and then claim to fix the game or finish the game in future DLC. Now, not all DLC is bad. There are some good things about DLC where if a game is complete and you get a full-fledged game, DLC can be a good way of giving you guys more of what you want. One example that I can think of off the top of my head is any game from Software, such as Dark Souls 1, 2, or 3, or Bloodborne. Those games are fully fleshed out RPGs that give you everything that you need within that game to have a full, complete experience, and then the DLCs after that just give you more of what you want, right? You don't have to buy any of those DLCs to feel like you got a complete package, and you will be fully satisfied with those series. I think those are good examples of how to do DLC correctly. Another way to do DLC in terms of fighters is Tekken 7. I think Tekken 7 is a great example of how you give a fan base a complete game, and because of the sheer support of that game, you're able to make DLC. I think the only reason that Tekken 7 even has multiple season passes is because of how well done the game is. It gives you everything that you need within a fighting game. It gives you an arcade mode, gives you a story mode, gives you time attack, gives you good online play, everything that you need for a fighting game to be. Multiple characters, pretty much almost every character from the series, even some new ones as well. It gives you what you expect from a fighting game. In terms of DLCs for shooters, it's kind of really hard because you kind of either have something like Apex Legends to where a lot of the stuff is free, such as maps. However, you know, the game itself is free, but every character that they release you have to buy, or, you know, if you want some of the cosmetic stuff, you're really gonna have to pony up the money for it through the loot crates or loot boxes, which that's another story entirely, and I'm gonna actually be covering that on a Real Talk video that I'm working on right now for Star Wars Battlefront 2. But it's kind of hard to justify good DLC for a shooter, as those games really rely on post DLC or post content DLC stuff to really survive. And it used to be where it was map packs for $15, $20 a pop. Nowadays it's battle passes while releasing those map packs for free. So that's really hard to justify. I think where DLC really shines, and if it's done correctly, is RPGs. And there's 3 RPGs that I want to talk about. One of them kind of demonstrates how to do how to do DLC incorrectly. One of them kind of displays how to do DLC in a sort of good way. And then we have something that I think all future RPGs will follow suit, and I'm pretty sure you guys can guess what that last one is. To start off with, the one that I feel that DLC is done incorrectly is Final Fantasy 15. Now, I do enjoy Final Fantasy 15 for what it was. However, the way that they released their DLC was, first of all, stupid, and second of all, way too late. So the game came out, you played the story, and for those who remember the story, there were certain sections within the game to where your companions took off somewhere and then they came back later, and something was different about them, but you couldn't quite put your finger on what happened, and the game never explained what happened. I believe one of the characters goes blind in the story, and it's never explained why he's blind now. He's just blind. So they released the episodic content. I believe it was 5 episodes in total, but these episodes came out about a year after the game was released, and after people have already beaten the game and moved on. there's not a lot of reason for you to release that DLC afterwards. First of all, that DLC should have been with the game. Those should have been optional quest or side quest to explain what your companions are doing, because those are key companions in the game. That's kind of the whole point of the game itself, is about companionship, brotherhood, and, you know, sticking together to the very end. And yet these key moments in characters, you know, development is taken out and sold off about a year later. It makes no sense, and I'm not gonna buy that DLC. I'm not. There's no reason for me to buy it. I'm gonna watch it on YouTube or something. And kind of this little side note, Kingdom Hearts has actually done the same thing with Kingdom Hearts 3. There's a whole section of DLC called Remind that I will never buy, because no, I'm not about to sit here and, you know, spend 15 years waiting on the game. You can't conclude the game correctly. You want me to buy DLC that just, you know, and it just presents more questions than answers, and then you're not going to complete the game. So I'm not going to buy Remind. I'm not going to do that with you guys. That's just a bad way to do DLC, especially for RPGs. I think a good way to do RPGs is something like the Elder Scrolls Oblivion, right? For those who've played Oblivion, you know that Oblivion as a whole is a great game, or at least it's a solid full RPG, right? Great game is really subjective, but you can't say that Oblivion doesn't give you everything that you needed within the main game, right? When you put in that disc, there's so much content, so much stuff in that game to where you're getting your money's worth when you play that game. Regardless if you think it's great or not, you get a full, complete game. The Shivering Isles is a good way to expand upon that game. While not necessarily being as great as the main story, it gives you more than enough content to justify its existence, right? It's really solid stuff. It helps expand upon the main game, and I don't think the expansion cost too much money at the time. I think it was a $10 or $15 expansion, and it just added more to the story of Oblivion. It was a great DLC. It was probably one of the better DLCs that came out from that game. Stupid horse armor. And for those who actually guess what this next game is going to be talking about, ding ding ding, you're great and you watch this channel. The Witcher 3. I can sit here and talk about how great The Witcher 3 is all day long, and I could never get tired of it. The Witcher 3 as a base game is one of the best well-developed RPGs that I've played in quite some time. And I've played a shit ton of RPGs in my years of gaming. I'm talking about more than any man should. But this game stands out to me so much just because the sheer amount of content, the development of the game, the side quests are some of the best side quests that I've played in quite some time. Better than some of the main quests in other games. Whenever you put in The Witcher 3, that's the game that you're gonna get. You get a fully developed, full-scale RPG with everything that you need to play. And if you just played that game and you didn't play anything else after that, you was golden. You played what everything that CD Projekt Red wanted you to play. What they envisioned was in that game, right? That is a complete experience in itself. And the same thing that goes for the first DLC that came out with it, Hearts of Stone. I would say Hearts of Stone is very comparable to Oblivion and the Shivering Isles. It's a good DLC. It definitely adds on more to the game, and I definitely recommend you do play it, as it's a good expansion. It's a good side story. However, it's not as good as the second DLC that this game came out with. If you want an example of how to do DLC correctly, please go play Blood and Wine. Go play that. Go play that right now, and you come back and tell me that that is not some of the best DLC that you've ever played in any game whatsoever. Blood and Wine gives you exactly what DLC should give you. It is a continuation of something great that answers questions, that gives you more content, that gives you more story, more character development, more things to do within the game. It's so mind-blowingly good that I will even compare it to some of the main stories in other games. I think it's even better than some of the main stories in other RPGs because you get so much out of it. Like, this can be developed as its own game itself, and I'd be happy with that. I could see Blood and Wine as a separate story for another game. That's just how well it's done. Like, that is how you do DLC. That is how you show your consumer base respect, when you ask them for additional money for content. Do more DLC like that, because I cannot think of any better DLC that I've played in my years of gaming, more so than the Blood and Wine, and I say that with full confidence. Please go play that. That being said, in regards to the future of DLC, I think we're going to be losing that quality of DLC, and the reason being is because, for those who don't know, game development is expensive. That's why you see these companies try and nickel and dime us out of everything that we have, is because they spend so much money on these games, and not just for development, it's for marketing too. All those commercials, all these YouTube ads, you know, these celebrities playing the games and stuff like that. All of that cost money, a lot of money. I believe it was Destiny, the first Destiny, or maybe the second Destiny. I think they spent over $100 million on just marketing alone, and it shows because of the sheer amount of advertisement for that game. You can walk up and show someone a picture of Destiny, and they've never played it, but they'll know what it is, and that's sort of killing the game industry as well, because AAA gaming is just so expensive. They have no choice but to rely on these microtransactions, these additional DLCs, to where they have to nickel and dime us to sustain the quality of the game, you know? And that's kind of where it becomes a catch-22. We want these huge scale games. We want these beautiful games with these nice graphics and, you know, complete stories and all that stuff, but it's costing us money. It's costing money to develop this type of stuff. And while it's great for when a developer does it right the first time, CD Projekt Red, there are companies like EA or Ubisoft that take advantage of this and really cut pieces from a full game experience and then sell that DLC later and try and make back as much money, if not more, through that tactic. And it's shitty, scummy tactics. However, it's almost a necessary evil in some regard, because if that money's not being generated into games, we lose franchises. We lose things like Silent Hill because it doesn't generate enough money, or we lose other games. I believe some of Capcom's games that they have under lock and key is like Power Stone and other games that they have in their library, to where it just doesn't generate enough money, or they can't find ways to provide those games as a service. Because let's be real here. There's no way that you can make Silent Hill a games for service. It's not meant for that. You could probably get away with it with Power Stone by doing the traditional fighting game BS that's happening these days, but there are certain franchises out there to where we're not gonna see them because they can't be made into games of services, or whatever you want to call it, right? To where you can't nickel and dime the consumer after the game is released. So I feel like the future of DLC is gonna get worse before it gets better. I feel like there's gonna be a breaking point to where people just stop buying DLC, as it were. I think it was really close to when Star Wars Battlefront 2 came out and there was a whole investigation on loot boxes and loot crates. I think stuff like that, if it happens more, it's going to break the bubble of game development, and that bubble is slowly growing throughout the years, but that's another topic for another day. I think it's promising depending on who you look at as a developer, and if you go over to the indie game scene, I think DLC can be promising, it can be good, but it can also be abused. But that's my thoughts on it. That's my take on it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it's a little bit longer than you guys are used to seeing me make these videos, but I just kind of want to give my thoughts on DLC as a whole and what I think about it in general, really. I really do enjoy these topics, and I really wish that video responses was a thing again. I don't understand why YouTube took that away, but hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully you guys want to see more stuff like this. Definitely want to do more things like this, but if you guys only want to see it, so let me know with the whole comments and the likes and the YouTube algorithm BS. Let me know if you want to see more videos like this. Definitely hit them up, watch more of their videos, both their videos. They make really good content, like I said, so definitely please go check out their channel, and I will catch you guys next time.